And we're back on this Saturday morning, Sports Medicine Weekly. Steve Kashul, Dr. Brian Cole. Time now for our Ask the Doctor segment, giving our listeners the opportunity to have Dr. Cole address their specific sports injury issues. It's very easy. Go to our website, sportsmedicineweekly.com, and go to the homepage on the website. You'll see the picture of Dr. Cole and yours truly. Click on that link, and you can send us a question. Got a couple good ones. Dr. Cole, you ready to go?
I am.
All right, question number one in our Ask the Doctor segment for this Saturday. Do you have any suggestions, Dr. Cole, for foods that are good for weight loss?
Okay, I love it. Great question. I mean, one of the basic principles is, Steve, and we've talked about this before, is that whole foods, in other words, foods that have all the nutrients, whether it's protein, fiber, et cetera, are important, but supplements can be particularly beneficial. But if you sort of want to get down to it, foods that are good for weight loss, we can start with protein. Protein is super important because proteins actually help prevent muscle loss. In fact, just like bone loss happens as we age, adults lose about 3 to 8% of their muscle mass every decade after the age of 30. And if you think about muscle as sort of your furnace, so the more muscle you have, the more you sort of burn, the more your metabolism is upregulated, the better the ability to maintain your ideal body weight. We need muscle. So we've got to maintain our muscle mass. You can't just eat protein to maintain it. You've got to obviously work your muscles. That's also great to do loading exercise to preserve bone, but it also can improve your metabolism by preventing muscle loss. So protein-rich foods are really important, and or whole food supplements like, say, whey proteins. And then fiber is the other one that comes up a lot. Fiber keeps you full longer, and actually recent research shows that it improves the microbiota, meaning the bacteria in your body, your sort of gut flora, as we call it. Also very important, sort of that probiotic concept. And so what are the examples of fiber? Those are beans, oatmeal, fruits, vegetables. I actually recently learned, Steve, that rye bread is probably, of all the breads in terms of providing fiber, rye bread is probably one of the best.
Wow.
But it has to be unprocessed, okay? So if you look at it, it has to have rye as one of the very first ingredients. Otherwise, it may just be too processed, no different than white bread. And then finally, fermented foods have exceptional value. So we covered protein, we covered fiber, and fermented foods create an environment with your GI tract that allows the microbiota, the flora, the bacteria to flourish. And that's a good thing. So that's stuff like kimchi and kombucha and yogurt. Not all things I like. Have you ever had kombucha before?
I've tasted it.
Yeah, it's
not a big fan.
Not a big fan, but actually really good for you because
Absolutely.
of its the fermentation. So at any rate, that's your lesson of the day on protein, fiber, and fermented foods.
Do you enjoy a good marble rye? I like the light rye.
You like light rye? It's probably processed.
Probably. Anything that tastes good.
That's right.
If it
does, it's definitely processed.
Question number 2 in our Ask the Doctor segment here. Dr. Cole, I recall you saying that the best source of protein and nutrients is always whole foods. Are some whole food proteins better than others?
Yeah, so another interesting question. Some sources of protein are actually laden with fat, so you got to be careful of that. That's like, there are high-fat beef and things of that nature. So skinless poultry, grass-fed beef, salmon, tuna, all really good. And you can get low-fat proteins from either plant-based sources such as beans, legumes, or you can get them from dairy sources such as whey protein. All really good with what we call relatively low glycemic index. In other words, doesn't have a lot of carbs that upregulate your insulin, which can actually hurt your metabolism and or how you process these things and actually promote fat deposition. So, those are some of the sources of protein, but you want to make sure if you're getting high sources of protein that it doesn't come along with bad saturated fats, for example.
All right, we're out of time. I want to say goodbye, and always a pleasure, Dr. Cole. I want to remind everyone that our website is sportsmedicineweekly.com, and net proceeds from our show, Sports Medicine Weekly, go to support orthopedic research at Rush through the liveactivenow.org fund. Our producer, Shane Reardon, our coordinating producer, Tracy Toro. Also want to thank David Cole for managing our website and our business operations, as well as Samantha Smith from Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. For Dr. Brian Cole, I'm Steve Kashul saying so long, and thanks for listening to Sports Medicine Weekly here on The Score. Up next on The Score, Early Odds with Joe Ostrowski. We'll be back with you next week, a brand new edition of Sports Medicine Weekly beginning at 8 a.m. Central, only on
670 The Score.